what constitutes built?
Oh, jeez.
There we go.
Dangerous game.
No, this is a good subject. We should talk about it.
Once you start changing pistons and rods, that's built for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what about just rods?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sort of half built,
Yeah,
semi-built.
I don't think that counts.
Some
If
factories.
you have-
If you have cast pistons, no, it does not count.
Yeah, some cars come with forged pistons. So
I
why
know.
would you change them? Like,
Right.
Well,
True.
Yeah, that can work.
if they're the right compression ratio that you want, then why would you change it? So is that what we're going to talk about?
Talk about turbo build
Basic
stuff.
engine
Yeah,
builds.
Sure. Yeah, basic.
What is
What
a build, and then
well, yeah, like
what you should do.
Yeah,
which
what you're gonna,
is-
if you're gonna pull the motor, what?
All right, so
What
this wasn't such a
upgrades
bad
and-
topic
No,
idea. Right?
no.
Like, we're already going on little holes
little
here.
tangent.
Yeah, well,
Bunch of
we'll
tiny
start here.
little holes.
Basically, the rule is clean
It's like what engines
everything.
are.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
make sure all those tiny little holes are clean.
Yeah.
Will
Oh,
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that at
I
some
think
point.
we talked about that at one point. I think it was.
Sure.
I don't remember when we talked about it, but I do remember the story of.
Yeah, I did tell.
Oh,
it.
everything he touches blows up.
Because you're like machine shop that shall not be named, and then you're like,
Oh.
fuck it.
Yeah, no, yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, no, I'm
R&R.
all for that.
Yeah.
They got me too.
Yeah.
Mine didn't blow up though.
Ooh.
I've also never looked inside.
Yeah.
Don't want to.
Yeah, if you don't look, you can.
I
you'd
did
be
notice
better
my
off.
cam gear, which is not their fault, is missing a tooth. Totally my fault.
Your
How?
Cam
What
gear
cam
is missing
gear?
a tooth.
Cam gear on the Unimog.
Cool.
It's a double row chain, so there's 2 rows of teeth,
Oh,
Yep.
Just like
and then one of the front teeth is missing, which is so. I know exactly how I did it because those chains, when you get them, are a master link chain. They're not one piece. You can't put them in. So you have to put a master link in and then peen it over. There's no clips or anything.
Oh,
So
yeah.
in the peening process, I bet I give it a bit more thwack than it needed. And I probably cracked a tooth and now it went somewhere else.
Well, at least it's not.
yeah, it's a little too big to like get sucked up through the oil.
Yeah, it's not going to make it
It
through the pickup.
probably came out in oil change. You didn't even know it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit's pitch black anyway.
yeah, something that
Yeah.
big. I mean, it's like
Or it's still in there.
unless I got
Well, yeah.
lodged in something before it made it to the oil pan, it's gonna be fine.
Right. Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
It's like it was one of those things. I was adjusting the valves, and I'm like, hey, there's
And even if it
one less
wasn't,
tooth. on
even if
this
it
row.
wasn't like a double row, it probably would be fine too. There's so much wrap on cam gears that
I'd be willing to change it if it wasn't a double row though. Like if it was a single row chain, I'd probably change it out because it's not that hard to change out that gear.
if it was easy, sure.
It's not that bad.
If it was hard, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd run it.
It's a roller
Be fine.
chain, right?
Yeah.
Those things are rugged.
Yeah, it's rugged.
Yep.
And these things are known for running for like a bazillion miles, and this one now has hardly any. But all of them have been at like 4,000 RPM for a diesel.
You know, roller chains, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen,
what'd
Moto
you-
4 tires are.
Just
Yeah.
zero lead in.
Yeah,
Just-
no.
I was gonna ask you what you did besides nothing.
You know, you got
Today.
3 weeks worth of material here, hopefully.
Yeah, I didn't. Oh, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Not even a little bit. Moto 4 tires are holding air, so that's good to go. Did some struts and some other suspension component replacement on my friend's car yesterday, and that was about it. Everything was real rusty and enjoyable as always. I had to use the cutoff wheel at least twice.
Oh,
Yeah, it was bad.
yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I haven't done much.
You gotta do something. Like,
I know, man.
Before next week,
I
'cause
fine.
it's getting
Yeah, you're getting pretty
depressing.
Yeah.
You're getting I mean, it's
a
like
little sad.
you're getting into the part of the season where
You're supposed to do
you're
stuff.
gonna do you're gonna inevitably do less just because of weather
Right.
and weather.
I'm just saying for the people here. You
Yeah.
know, you got 3 weeks in a row. I ain't doing anything.
I know.
I feel
Come
bad
on.
about
make
myself.
something
I don't
up.
know about you, but I just do genuinely
He's
feel
gonna
bad
now.
when I don't make progress on anything for an extended period of time.
Yeah, but I haven't even bought like progress parts to make progress.
what kind of parts do you need to buy
That's
to
the
make
least
progress?
you could do.
Well,
Yeah.
so
what are you planning on doing?
So we just added Fabless Manufacturing to the site at work, and they have a full front tube subframe.
Full frontal.
Yeah, for the Corrados and Mark IIs
Oh,
and stuff
son
like
of a
that.
bitch! I suggested that as a product idea,
Yeah.
and they're like, meh.
They actually have a bunch of like tube stuff,
Done been saying tube subframes for a little while. and
Yeah.
Just
but so they just added that
So
to the
easy.
site. So I'll probably buy that and do that whole thing because that front subframe on there is kind of like it's a silly design. It's
There's gonna be a
not
lot of
great,
like
but-
assembly for tabs for control.
Oh, I'm not saying it's easy for manufacturing. I'm saying
No.
it's definitely easy to design,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and it's not that hard to manufacture either. But
yeah, but they make some really decent stuff for VR stuff and Mark II Corrado, Mark III stuff. So I'll probably
yeah, it was a little harder to sell on like factory aluminum subframe stuff because
Yeah.
they don't really need it other than they're bulkier.
Yeah.
But
Well, this
people
one,
don't really run into space problems on them. It's not like they're trying to cram long tubes,
Right.
around a subframe or anything like that on those cars. So
but they
if
also
you can
have
like, fix bumps here and stuff, though, that'd be my.
yeah.
You can get them out a bunch more room to get your hands in places too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll probably buy that stuff probably after Christmas and start working on that. Right now, I'm gonna pull the cooling system on the Corrado again and clean it. So I cleaned it last winter and put all new fluids and whatnot in it. Put lightweight water pump pulley and stuff like that on there. But I have like a lot of rust build up in my coolant ball, so I'm gonna flush the system again and see if it can.
Run one of those flush things.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought about that too.
I've
A
done a
flush-
couple of those. It's actually not bad.
Okay.
You just gotta get
Like
it
the
up to
flush kit?
temperature and stuff with the flush goop in there or whatever. Like you drain all the coolant out, put water in it,
Right.
run the flush stuff through it, get it up to temperature like once, and then drain it hot,
Yeah.
and then a bunch of junk comes out. You're like, oh, all right, it did stuff.
Yeah, but
CLR.
I'll probably do that because
That too.
CLR.
Yeah,
Yeah.
CLR.
You're supposed to not use it on like aluminum heat exchanger, like
Yeah.
heater cores and stuff like that. But
well, I mean, if
watered
that's
down
the case,
enough.
yeah, I could. Well,
Well,
I
you
could
want
always
you want
loop-
like the quick powerful hit to work right the first
Yeah.
time, and you're not supposed to do it, but it does good.
I mean, I could always just. It's really easy on those to loop the
Yeah.
heater core anyway.
Yeah, just don't let it sit in there for like 3 days and you'll be fine.
Right.
Right.
But I don't know. I'll probably do that soon. I gotta order some parts here, but I'm waiting till after Christmas to buy big things. So see what happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Speaking of buying things, did anybody actually buy anything good like Black Friday? I usually
I didn't
don't,
buy
and
anything.
like I was like in the spending mood this time, and I'm looking around because I felt like I needed stuff. I didn't find like anything that I really
My-
wanted.
My
was
Black
never-
Friday experience is always an afterthought,
Yeah.
right? So like, I don't need things until after it's over, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
Right.
Cyber
this
Week.
was yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I always miss out on stuff like that because I don't really pay attention to it. And
Nothing.
then, until I'm in the store and I'm like, oh, this thing, and then I see it like, oh, it was on
like,
sale.
I'm
6
always on the
weeks
hunt
ago.
for tools, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, if I could get a new tool or something like that, I will. But it just didn't really.
Yeah, nothing I really wanted. It's
No.
like a super
Yeah.
sale.
I mean,
Mega Squares
honestly,
for 10% off, and I was like,
That's
maybe.
not enough.
I know.
It's not enough.
well, it's
not-
like the only thing I really buy for stuff like that is like
unless you're buying it anyways.
tools. Right.
Like, well, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, so I buy a lot of Milwaukee stuff, and like it's expensive at Home Depot, and I have all the batteries and chargers and whatnot. So I usually just order the blank tool off of Amazon, and it's usually like
I usually do that too,
$150, $200
but
cheaper.
occasionally through Home Depot they'll throw in like a battery with it.
Yeah.
For like no more cost. So yeah, I was looking at that because I was looking at Home Depot for tools and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that on Black Friday, but nothing.
Yeah, I didn't really see anything. I was there like the day after, and they had like some Wise home cams and like some other stuff like that, and I was like, I don't need any of this.
Week.
Yeah. So, but day after Black Friday is never good.
Yeah.
Everything's just picked through, and
Ooh, what'd you get for your birthday?
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Dave.
thanks. I'm 30 now, and
Welcome.
I haven't panicked yet.
Welcome.
You didn't wake up like that morning and like your joints hurt? Because I
What do you mean?
promise
My
you
joints
that
have been
happened to
hurting
me.
for the last 5 years.
It just seemed worse.
I got some cash and some like small stuff, a hoodie that my mom got me, and that's about it.
Wow.
Yeah, not a whole lot.
Nice.
Some
Nice.
other stuff.
Nice.
So, cash is king.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
oh well, that was funny because I took the cash that I got and then realized that I had forgotten to go to the BMV to get tags. So I took half of the cash that I had gotten and went and spent it on tags.
That's
and
the worst part about Ohio is
Yeah.
fucking your birthday.
Well,
is
so
when
I
you
go,
gotta.
Ohio birthday
and I'm just
present.
sitting there, and I'm like, oh man. And then I go there, and it's like $218 because
Yep.
like last year it was 300 and something because I had the Mark IV still. So I was like, Jesus. But I forgot that I had the boat trailer at my parents' house with the boat on it, and they were like, oh, it's another $60 for that. And I was
Yeah,
like,
when did
man.
trailers become $60?
I know,
I don't
right?
understand that part.
And so I
Only
don't
one
know.
person. I can only drive so much. Why do I have to pay for every vehicle?
I don't think we should have to do any of it, honestly. But that's just me. We're not
What
going to
a
get
cash
into that.
grab. Yeah.
No, I just had to pay that $240 for me.
Yeah.
Fun.
But so yeah, I got new tags for my birthday.
Yeah. That does suck.
But
I'm gonna slowly migrate everything to historic or something as soon as I can.
Still
kinda-
got to pay for it.
Yeah, you do.
yeah,
No,
It's not as much.
You pay once for 30 years or something like that.
Oh, historic. Yeah,
Historic.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Historic.
yeah, but you can only
Yeah.
what's the limit on that? I don't remember.
I
what
don't
it is
know,
here.
but no
I
one's
think it's
ever pulled me
10,000
over.
miles a year.
It's like 1,000 miles or something ridiculous.
It's
really-
it's
it's
like
really
you're
low.
not supposed to drive it at all.
You can't
But-
use it for like commuting. You can't use it for like anything
Yeah,
other. You're
that's
supposed to
why-
like only go to like car shows or parades or something.
Or
That's
or
it.
the shop, which is the best fail-safe. Like, oh, I just
Right.
put brakes on it. I'm bedding them in.
Or
And-
I'm going to the shop, which is work.
Right.
So-
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nonetheless,
But-
no one's ever stopped me as long as you're not being a jerk about it. That you should be fine. But
Yeah. I don't know. That's why I don't think I'll ever put historic plates on the Corrado because I drive it.
Could you?
More than yeah,
I don't
Historic?
know.
yeah.
I saw it like twice in the parking lot this year.
I drove it more than that. I just didn't drive it to work more than that. But yeah,
Yeah, you might as well take plates off it. That's the cheapest option.
Yeah.
yeah.
Just run your front plate off the wagon.
Make no sense. They'd be like, what the fuck? What is this?
Volkswagen? Makes sense to me.
Well, no, the plates. My wagon plate says Dieselgate. Doesn't make any sense.
It's all a number.
It's a
It is-
TDI swap.
There is a guy on Instagram, now that we got sidetracked.
There we go.
Oh, boy.
He actually has I think I showed it to Mike once. He's got a rusted out, like, wide body Corrado that's very similar to the wide body that Mike built.
Rusted out wide body.
His hashtag is like at Hatch Coast, and it's like TDI swapped. Got an ALH in it. It's really sick. I'm a fan. I'll have to show it to you guys.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
Why is it wide body if it has an ALH in it?
Why didn't you fix the rust of it?
Yeah,
man?
why
Wide
would
Well,
body.
so it's like
Put all that work in and rust it. That I don't understand.
Yeah, and is the wide body already rusty? Because like, was it done 30 years ago?
no.
No, full rust. You don't. It doesn't make for a good podcast. When
No,
you're
they
looking
No, I
can't.
know.
Didn't
They
coat
can't
the
see it
welds.
anyways. So you just either have to describe it better or move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't help. That doesn't help much. Oh, it's one of
Those
those.
patina rust.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's intentional rust.
Like everyone had all his buddies
okay.
pee on
That's
it or
all
something.
you had to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sanded the body and then like pretended
just
to
let it
not
go.
care.
It's a bunch
But
of
it's-
lemon juice and pee or whatever they do.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
Wow.
Okay.
Look at that.
That's,
Yeah, you did a terrible job explaining that.
Sorry. What else is new? All right. Well,
Kevin?
Kevin,
Passing the torch now.
passing the torch.
Okay.
I feel
Got
like
the,
we're cutting
uh,
out here a little bit.
No, that's just you.
Yeah, it's just
working
you.
your way away from the mic.
Bobbling your head around away
No,
from the
it's okay.
microphone.
Oh, bobblehead Dave, I can see it now.
Yeah.
We should get bobbleheads of all of us and
No,
sell them on the
no,
Instagram.
just Dave.
Just Dave.
We already have that on like our podcast.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Our little
main
image
picture.
thing.
It's obnoxious.
Damn it.
That was great. I'm so
Um,
glad I got you guys to do that.
The 5000 still doesn't run. We've tried a lot of things. Still waiting on distributor that's supposed to be here Monday. It was supposed to be here today, and I was going to try it, and I was pumped. And UPS pulled a fast one. Decided to change their mind.
Slow one.
Slow one. Yeah. So that's still sitting at work. I'm planning on doing some work to that this week, this coming week when I'm working in the office and hanging out there afterwards. So get it cleaned up, make the brakes maybe work, maybe make it run. Who knows? I put the ECU in it today. It did nothing. So I don't know. That's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up a blast cabinet last weekend.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It, hooked up the sweet China vacuum from Jags to it, and found out that the media tube for picking up the media was actually like had a giant hole in it, so it wasn't picking up anything.
Mm-hmm.
Craigslist seller failed to mention that part. So
Well,
Huh.
what'd you pay for this puppy?
500.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
those
a pretty
big boys.
decent-
Yeah, that's
pretty
a pretty good deal
decent,
for the big boys.
yeah.
Yeah, American made. it's decent size. It's good quality stuff, so I don't have to worry about it leaking all over the place or anything. No, why'd you do that?
You're just gonna mid
Undo.
podcast. You're gonna
Yeah,
Well, no, I
change
was
some
just-
settings.
It was fine. Leave it alone.
Yeah. We need to get the knobs away from Dave.
Yeah.
Got the motor out of the
You're supposed to feel like he's
E36.
doing stuff.
It's sitting on engine stand right over here. Spent basically most of the time so far just cleaning stuff on it because it was filthy.
How much
Yeah.
tire goo did you pull off of it?
None.
None?
Just oil.
Just
Dirt.
Oil and
Dirt
rust.
sucked into oil. Just been like dried out / still wet /
just the goop.
the kind of stuff that just gets like pushed around and doesn't come off when you scrape it, you know?
Yeah.
Just that you can't use it. You touch a rag to it and it's filthy immediately and it did nothing to clean up the thing you were trying to clean.
Yep.
It's always difficult, kind of like how to figure out where to start with stuff like that, like things
Yeah,
that are
it's-
extraordinarily dirty. And
It's
I feel
so
like
bad.
there's really no option other
Oven
than
cleaner.
Well, yeah, but I mean like a power washer or something
Yeah.
like that,
Oh,
which
yeah.
sucks
Steam
this time of
cleaners.
year. I have one in my Amazon cart, and I'm
Ooh.
like really close to pulling the trigger on it.
That
'cause
wouldn't
I'm
have
like,
done anything to this.
No, like the
stuff.
big pressure washer steam cleaner things that
yeah,
are like
okay. You
kerosene fired.
You also
and,
have an engine that doesn't have a valve cover on it at this point. You don't want to pressure
Well,
wash
if you
it.
were going to pressure wash it, you would have
Yeah,
left all the shit
okay.
on it.
Fair enough. I don't know. Things like you take off the intake manifold. All right, now you got to worry
Yeah.
about the ports and stuff. So,
Right.
no, I hit the needle
Just-
scaled the block and poorly painted it with Steel It, so it came out amazing because it's
that's
Steel It.
good. That's a good point. The needle scaler works pretty good, even on
Yep.
things that are just caked in dirt, because you can clean them off easy.
The stuff that's like liquid just kind of turns into a golf ball,
Yeah.
and then it
Yeah,
doesn't
well,
really go anywhere. But
It gets the rest of it off pretty good.
Yeah, did some work between that and the wire wheel and the Dremel. I got things pretty clean
You
and
brought out the Dremel. Wow.
yeah, for the small corners and stuff.
Wow.
Wow. I
Attention
just
to-
jam the
attention
needle
to-
scaler into them as hard as I can.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
but
feel like
that's
I'll
about-
pick
that's
like
about as
3
much
of the
effort as I
needles and
give
put
it,
them in
yeah.
there, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing that, but it was the wet stuff that just gets pushed around by it. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's definitely some bad spots of paint on there because of that, but
Yeah,
I think it
fine.
looks pretty good.
This
so
is
I'm
the,
happy
this is
with
the
it.
tricky time of year to clean stuff like that for sure, though, because avoiding liquids in the cold.
Yeah, you're unwilling to go out in the driveway and hose it off or something like that because
Yeah, not gonna do that.
cold.
So, I don't know. I pretty much decided to keep the stock head gasket in there.
I see
At
that.
this point.
Is the head still on it? You'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I had to take off the Vanos unit to get the timing cover off, so I'm pretty
Okay.
close.
Yeah.
You know, I pop the cams out basically at this point, and then I can get to the head studs. So I think I'm just gonna give the head studs like an extra 5 foot-pounds, and
No, I wouldn't do that.
why not?
Well, what do I know?
Do you have factory headsets in there?
No.
No,
ARPs.
that would have blown up a while ago.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of what I
Yeah,
was
I mean,
thinking
it's
too.
been running like 6 psi for all season. So
You got some ARPs in there?
yep.
Yeah, buddy.
So clean up the front cover. I still need to figure out how to get the rear main cover off so I can change the seal. The rear main seal itself isn't leaking. It's just the gasket that goes between the
Yeah.
thing and the engine block that's leaking.
You
Looks
basically
like,
just have to do it when it's off the stand.
Yeah.
Like this.
yeah, I have
before
to
you put
paint the
trans
backside
back
too.
on.
But the problem is the oil pan gasket also seals on that surface. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
You can do the rear main after the fact.
okay, all right, I'll do that
So.
after then. So, clean up the oil pan next and put that back on, and then basically that thing is done. And just cleaning up things in the engine bay. I took off a bunch of brackets, drilled out the spot welds, ground them down, painted them over, things that just have been sitting there and not being used at all. Decided to clean that up.
Did you cut off the front yet?
Not yet. Figuring out where I want to cut things, but that's a deeper project. That's just kind of looking at it. I'm like, don't know where to start.
It's really only like a couple options. So
I know it's
You
just.
just need to have a couple beers and then cut something and be like, all right,
Yep.
well, I guess
Oh,
it's
yeah,
here.
yeah.
I just did a lot of
Let's
like
turn it back now.
sitting there and staring at things like, well, what do I do right now? I don't know. I want to get rid of like the ABS block, but so that requires fittings and lines and stupid things like that. So,
Yeah.
But
I would just
Nah,
make
I
all
guess
new
that's it.
lines if it was me. It's just almost easier.
What, for brake lines?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get one of them hydraulic flare puppies so I can start not dreading doing lines.
Mhm.
I'll be way more likely to like bend up nice ones and do all that if I can
I know.
consistently get
They're
a nice
like
flare.
expensive, but
Yeah.
they're good. They're not expensive for what it is.
No, it's like $250,
Maybe-
and then I can always do a nice flare, and you can do it on the car.
So $50 a pop. We got
That's
a
pretty
community one.
I like that idea.
We'll have to discuss this after
I
the
like,
podcast.
Michelle.
I like my community engine hoist.
You didn't ask for any money. Honestly, I would have given it to you just so I didn't have to buy my own.
I just don't want to store one.
No,
I know.
I've taken the motor out of the E34 strictly with ratchet straps and a piece of DOM. Just
Jesus.
ratchet strap from underneath and just
Okay.
pick it up off the cart. So I don't want one. It's honestly pretty easy.
All right. Well,
Easy or
I guess I'm
safe?
done.
Tiny garage.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Will?
Oh, what have I done?
Yeah, how's your Porsche?
It's good. I mean, sort of. It runs, so in like the spirit of winter beater, like it could just be good to go as is. But I'm trying to like pluck away at little things that are
Yeah.
potentially free or really cheap to fix. Biggest problem I noticed as of recently, because I just really actually I haven't driven it too much because I still don't have any plates or anything on it, but they don't really seem to care. I've had cops sitting like, at my left corner for like a mile and they just don't do anything. So I guess, during the whole COVID thing, they just kind of don't really care about anything right now. But, more recently as it's gotten colder, I noticed the heat like really just doesn't work. So that's like the big issue, which I haven't investigated whatsoever, other than the fact that heat is going through the heater core. So it's probably just like a blend door issue or something like that. But other than that, like picking away at little electrical issues and
Yeah.
things like that. So it's not bad. I was sad because last weekend I went to go, I bought that another top off of the Salins dudes. I went to go swap that on. I forget. I don't think I talked about that last podcast, but
No.
went to go swap that on. And like, it was easy. I mean, it's like 6 bolts total.
Right.
And like 2 ball studs. Got it on and then unfolded it and realized that top was also cracked.
No.
So really bummed about that. But found a dude selling a new in-box, what is the brand? Sierra?
Yeah, that sounds
top
right.
canvas with a glass window on
There you
Facebook
go.
Marketplace for $400. So it's more than I wanted to spend. But given that it's Winter Beater Challenge, the glass window sounds like a good idea. Because otherwise, like basically you can't put it down all winter.
Right.
And it
Are
should
you
I sell
planning
it?
to put it down this winter?
It's also how you have to access the engine. So
Yeah, so like service stuff, like I can't just like whip up the top, because you have to actually lift up the back side of the top. So you
Yeah.
have to fold up the rear to get to the engine cover.
Right.
So if for some reason we go somewhere and I need to like fuck with something, I pretty much have to crack my rear window. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why would they make it out of glass then?
no.
No. The plastic.
plastic.
It's the factory
when
one
it's
is
cold.
plastic.
I understand
Yeah,
that.
because it folds.
It's cold.
Yeah.
The
But
glass
why would
one's fine.
anyone want a glass one?
The glass ones work fine.
The glass ones
They're
are
more
okay.
expensive. They just put the glass window in the right spot where it'll fold up, and it'll be fine.
Yeah. It's usually smaller than the plastic ones, so like
It's just not on
visibility
that
isn't
seam
as
point
great.
where it folds, is what
Right.
you're saying.
I'm confused about what the problem is then.
The plastic ones
So the
crack
problem
when it's
is
cold.
factory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, factory tops have a plastic rear window
I see.
for that year. They moved to a glass one later, but it's a common problem with really any convertible car that has a plastic rear window. You just can't raise or lower the top when it's below 40
Yeah,
degrees
it'll
out.
just explode.
It just shatters.
Yeah.
It happened on my Miata. I fixed it once. It's happened on this, obviously. Not good. So.
Got to pull good old Zach Job and have to borrow everybody's stuff on the way home from Winter Beater Challenge.
It's everybody's clothes, your
Yeah.
boots and gloves and jackets and stuff like that. Yeah, so I need to fix that heat for sure.
Yeah.
Because I assume we're going to a pretty cold climate at some point in time. If COVID wasn't happening, I'd be like, let's go into like northern Canada or something ridiculous, like across the country border or something. But I just don't think that's going to
I
happen.
don't think
No.
anybody's allowed
But
to go.
I
across
do
the
like.
border
I
right now.
want to like.
I'm
just
terrified of that.
what? Terrified of what?
Breaking down in Canada.
Why?
Shit, content, bro.
It's
You'll be
easy.
fine.
It's for the people.
You break down in Canada, you post it up for 500 US or Canadian dollars, and then you leave it there and ride home with someone else.
Yeah. But no, I get excited thinking about just like stepping it up on like in
Yeah.
every way for this whole winter beater thing, just like doing more extreme stuff. So
Do it across the country. Go to Colorado in the middle of winter.
We
That'd
have
be
some ideas.
there's been a discussion.
Oh,
We have some ideas. We're gonna leave those off the table for now.
yeah, probably better to do that. Kevin, what's up,
Yeah,
please?
so
Yes.
he said he's going to get it running this week. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It'll be running just as good as the other one.
yeah,
was.
outside of that, I went to Pull Apart last weekend. Pretty desolate this time of year. People don't really like venturing out in the cold, but it was nice. It was like, just like a real relaxing Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Went looking for some Super Duty parts. Didn't get what I wanted, but got some stuff. Yeah.
I think they're doing a 50% off all trim pieces sale right now.
Wow.
Well, if they had the trim piece that I wanted, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I don't know. I was on their website today checking their inventory to see if they had anything worth going.
sign
to
up for the
pick.
text things. It
Yeah.
actually does
Well, I
work.
used to get
That's
those.
how I knew that they had two of these Super Duties or whatever. I got it like the day of.
Yeah.
And because I had signed up for them, but I usually am looking for like weird stuff, so they never actually get it.
Right.
So, but I had set it up for
Looking
the
for
Super
the
Duty
same
stuff,
parts
and I
that-
got the text message, and that was handy. So,
All them oddball parts that everybody else wants.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Struggle.
pretty much all I got.
Yeah.
I have sold the 928. It's officially gone. We've parted ways.
Profit.
I'm happy about it. I've profited.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Everything's good. Space in the driveway. No more thoughts of CIS.
I don't know if
More
I'd say
space.
space. But
More space.
Yeah.
more or less.
One
space.
more car.
Other way around.
Yeah.
One more
Space.
car's worth
More
of
space than if you had one more car.
Right. That didn't function. Boxing in stuff.
That is
that
especially
did
problematic
function.
in
Yeah.
your single lane driveway.
Yes.
When you have something that doesn't
Big
move under its
problem.
own power.
Oh yeah.
Big
that's-
problem. Many excite. Very gone.
Yeah.
So
You ever think about deleting the curbs in your driveway and
it's
just
not
like
my
expanding
house.
it?
Yeah, but yeah.
I
like,
get it.
They would
Just
never
take
know.
a jackhammer to
Yeah.
it one day.
You just pull them out.
when they redid the roof, the guy
Why
who
make
came
them
in with the
smaller?
dumpster like pushed them out of the way up to where he put the dumpster in. Like,
Yeah, the roll on it's not so bad. Like you're not really going to curb a wheel on them anymore.
Oh, I
Well, the
have-
inside one maybe, but the outside one seems like it has.
I
a
did
pretty
it on
good
the
angle.
outside with
Really?
the Audi recently. I was pissed.
Yeah, that sucks.
So yeah, real mad. So yeah, ignoring that.
Moving on.
The X5 is broken in all of the same ways. It's leaking way more than I expected. Now that it's been in the shop for a little bit, because we're developing a couple parts, and everywhere it goes, it really leaves its mark.
Yeah,
way
I
more
noticed.
than anything else.
I looked under it today.
Yeah.
From when you had parked it there yesterday.
Which I had moved it from the lift to the alignment rack to the spotted tin. So
Yeah.
it ran for like a minute,
Yeah.
and there's many drops. Very bad. So I have some gaskets that I'm going to be changing either this weekend or next week. I put some big, awesome tires on it that I like a lot.
Yeah.
Pretty excited about that. But it's
Tell the people what they are. I mean, people need
Got
to
the-
know.
What kind of tires you get?
Got to support
I
this
got
brand.
the Kenda Cleaver is my.
Clever.
You think it's the Clever with a K?
No, I don't know, but I want to call it clever.
Me too. But Cleaver, Clever.
I'm sure it's
MT.
Cleaver.
Yeah. We've had good luck with the Kendas with all the drift cars. I'm a big fan, and I've
Yeah.
had them on many bicycles
Price
and
is
everything
right,
else.
pretty much in any application. I've had
Yeah,
them
price
on
is right.
Quads too.
And they're an awesome tire.
Yeah.
It's not like just a cheap tire. It's a good tire.
yeah,
so,
I've had the Pathfinder on the Moto 4.
Yeah, the
You
thing's been
it's
awesome.
Good stuff.
so yeah, they
Yeah,
look
it's like,
great.
What did you say? 500 and some change.
Yeah, it was 117 a
That's
piece
not bad
through
for-
Walmart.
30
32s.
Yeah,
That's pretty good, actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
awesome.
It's like half the cost of what like a what I guess super swappers would be like. Super.
Yeah, there's
super
a
pricey.
lot of expensive
Yeah,
options.
look,
Yeah.
what do you pay for like a middle of the road winter tire for a car? It's
Right.
like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really touch snows for that in
No.
the stock size.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had those motos kicking around that I got off Josh, and they looked dumb on the drift car. So I just was hanging on them for no reason. And then I'm like, let's try them on that. And they look pretty good, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah, they do
So,
look good. Yeah, it's surprising though.
Ooh.
It's always a gamble with like especially newer body style stuff because the motos, they're like a
It's
really
a
curvy,
90s
not,
kind
no
of-
edges on them at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Which-
but that era worked well with that.
yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm happy with that. What else have I got going? I haven't had anything else, really. Yeah, I was doing some stuff on the 944. I was just starting to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Parts are rolling in for my manifold. Probably one of the next things. I should do the shock mounts first, but
Just gotta bounce around sometimes.
yeah, it's just not motivating to do those lower shock mounts.
Forgot to mention I ordered that turbo.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Same
What,
turbo?
You got far?
No, the SXE
Oh,
257.
okay.
Yep. Same as these.
But I got the T3 T3 flange instead of the V-band.
Hey, where's
Let's
them
get to
intercoolers
83.
at?
They're coming.
Yeah, they'll be here
End of
next
the
week.
month.
Okay.
The ETA is next week.
Okay.
It says
yeah.
14th. But
I think it got updated to like the 20th or something.
Oh,
20
okay.
something 8th. So should be here this month.
yep.
If I had that in front of me, it'd be pretty motivating. I was looking at turbos again the other day.
Nice.
I'm like, I'm not going to be left out, damn it. I was already like too slow behind Mike and Kevin, and I'm like, well, no, it's not even like a chance. There's no chance.
I haven't done anything to that car. But
Well, I know, but you're obviously able to keep up, or was.
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 We'll see.
I mean, more power just gives me more ability to run the wider, sweepy, easy to follow line. You know,
Yeah.
How regularly are you doing that, though?
you don't have to dial in a bunch of grip because you have more power.
I can't dial out enough grip.
Me too. That was my problem. But it's not. I wouldn't say it's a, until you're making the thing try to grab as much as possible to go faster, and then like adding power doesn't really do anything. You just burn the tires off more.
Yeah.
You need more angle more than you need more power.
I understand that. That's all part of the
Yeah.
process.
Okay.
But that's all happening at once if it happens.
Yeah.
So.
Change all the variables.
Yep.
Change the whole thing.
Yep.
Do as we
Big
say,
changes.
not as we do.
Big changes.
Yep. Well, now that we're getting into this stuff a little bit, what
was
What's
the
our topic, Dave?
Yeah, come on now.
what constitutes
Our
building
fearless
engines?
moderator.
fearless moderator.
Podcast Daddy Dave.
So obviously a lot of you guys are doing engine builds and stuff like that, and
Well,
Some more successfully than others.
all right,
are we building the engine?
Hey,
What
this
is
this
it?
is
Oh,
the
there you
question.
go. Question
This is
number
the question.
one.
Here we go.
Where
not
do you
building
draw
an
the
engine.
line?
Yeah, what constitutes as a built engine? Okay, right. So obviously, there's a lot of people that walk around and say, "Oh, it's built, not bought."
So
But
step one, Kevin did head studs.
okay,
Not a build.
not a build.
No.
Yeah, I'm not changing rods or pistons either.
Right.
So
But that is common on the BMW applications, and probably I don't think that's really common in many others.
No, I
What?
think
Swapping just head
VR
studs.
VR
Head
stuff
studs?
is like that.
Everything
Yeah.
German that you're most things that weren't boosted that you are boosting are going to stretch lift ahead. and
Yeah.
do that.
Sure,
So
but
head studs are like
I
step one
guess
for
I should
boost.
say that's not like a super common phase as it's like in itself in other applications. I don't know.
I disagree, but Yeah.
So my rule of thumb, at least, is if the head's coming off, I'm probably going to put ARP hardware on it, regardless of what it is.
I disagree with that just because it's expensive.
Well,
Yeah,
that too, but like
I
talking,
didn't
Well,
when-
I'm talking like for future build stuff also. Like
That-
if I have
I think
plans
that
for
depends
something
entirely
long-term-
on how expensive stock head bolts are.
That's true,
like,
too.
LS
That's true.
stuff, set of stock head bolts are like $20.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you don't plan on doing anything crazy with it,
Yeah.
stock,
Even
Yeah.
boost with an LS.
that's a different story. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like this is where we'll get into it. Is like depending on what engine drivetrain setup you're running, it really depends what built is.
Well,
or
of course,
what,
it depends on
'cause,
your
like,
goals.
What needs
yeah,
to be
I mean,
done,
like if
right?
you're building an NA engine, I mean, the things you're changing are much different
Right.
than a boosted engine. So,
Right, but what you consider a built NA engine versus a built.
I mean, in
Forced
some
induction
applications, like a K series, a built NA is going to be like all head work.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I
would
still
and then I
wouldn't-
would
That's
call
kind of
that
what I mean.
built,
Like, what
honestly.
is it? What
I don't know that I would.
constitutes-
Really?
Yeah, I don't
You're
consider
not.
that built.
You don't think like cams, springs, retainers, like
Mike doesn't think
port
700
work, all
horsepower
that,
cars are
head
fast.
bolts, head gaskets, but not
I've been in
touching
them.
pistons and rods. It's not built.
No.
Well, hold on. It depends.
It's not built.
Wow.
It might be awesome. It might be great. Like I'm not discrediting the engine
Disclaimer:
or
Mike
or
says it's
any of the
awesome,
work.
but not built.
Yeah, no, it doesn't classify as built.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay. So,
All right,
but
so-
you say head studs, pistons, rods classifies as built just because it's what in the bottom end.
So you see that dink walking around at a car meet saying it's fully built. It's not.
fully, we're gonna.
That's
I'm gonna
a
leave
whole
that off the
nother-
table.
Yeah,
we're leaving
we
that off
should
the
probably
table
not-
We're not even gonna talk
Yeah.
about
Because
that.
that's
get into-
basically
That's
non-existent.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
No.
Well, people
'Cause-
say that when they throw a bunch of bolt-ons on the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean
but
that's like Yeah, no.
Because that's infuriating regardless.
If you're not changing internals at least, then
Fully
like, I would
bolted.
consider it. Yeah, I would consider it not
completely assembled.
FBO.
The fact that has an acronym drives me crazy.
Yeah.
FBO. I actually had to look that up at
I've
one
never
point in
heard that.
time. Really?
I've
You've
never
never
heard
seen
that.
like a car listed for
very-
sale? Like, yeah, FBO Fiesta ST.
It's very common in the N54 world. If you have like an intake, an intercooler, downpipes, and a tune, it's a full bolt-on.
Right.
Even though you could
Full
have like
bolt-on.
turbos, or there's so many other variations of bolt-ons.
Yeah, no, I've
you
never
could
heard
put
that
on.
before. That's weird.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I guess I really never paid attention to it too, though, because like unless you give me details of what's exactly.
I swear,
done to it,
next
don't care.
time you go on Facebook Marketplace, like the first thing that's gonna pop up is gonna say FBO, and you're just gonna like acknowledge it then. But
I want to try
I was
searching by that
message him.
now.
Oh,
I want to
God.
message whoever that is and be like, "Hey, bro, is this stage 5?
Yes.
It has all the powers." Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess to me, like bottom end stuff and top end stuff would be considered built, in my opinion. I mean, regardless of how much power it has, honestly, because
no, it's
different
irrelevant.
variables, so
Yeah.
So to throw a wrench in this, the LS in
We didn't need any more wrenches.
No, I'm just like
we had enough wrenches to work through in this hour plus.
just to try to clarify my position.
Okay.
The LS in my E34 is Gen 4 rods,
Yeah.
J pistons,
Yeah.
and a cam and like valve springs and that stuff.
Yeah.
I would not consider that built.
No, me neither.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because of stock rods.
Stock rods.
Yeah.
Well, from something else, and they're
They're
just as
OE
good
rods.
yeah, they're OE rods.
Well, I mean, I guess when you get into it, you really don't. If you don't need it, then why?
I'm not saying it's
replace
bad.
it?
I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
no.
like
I'm
I
just
wouldn't
saying,
classify that in
why
a
would
built
you?
category.
So,
Well,
like,
that's
it-
why people use those
well,
rods.
that's the
is
thing, is
because
for, like-
they can handle like 1,000 horse.
Well, right. So for VR stuff, the VR was originally designed to be diesel, so it's got forged internals for the bottom end. So you don't need to change anything when you're adding boost to it.
Yeah.
So
Why does it have to be aftermarket to be built?
well, that's what I'm saying. Is like
Did you build it?
Yeah, but I mean,
you
like,
machine it
if you
by
put a
hand?
completely stock motor together and like have a ton of machine work into making it like a brand new small block, is that built?
Did you build it?
Yeah, I mean, I built it, but that doesn't mean it is
see?
built.
This is why I picked this category. I like this.
No.
It's the same reason Mike doesn't think 700 horsepower cars are fast.
Because I've been in them and they're not fast.
I mean,
Well, I guess it depends what the
all
700
relative.
horsepower is in, though.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Constitutes
relative.
power
all right,
to
let's
weight.
not get hung up on this word built. It's dumb.
Well, that's the whole.
But it is
that's the whole
important. I mean,
premise
this
of
is
the-
like,
yeah,
you know what
the
grinds my
conversation.
gears? When people say their shit's built
Yeah.
when they put camber and wheels on it.
okay, well, yeah,
Yes,
that's
build, bro.
Yeah.
Could at least have like some legitimate approach to this and say, as long as you have some type of, beyond the typical bolt-on stuff.
Yeah.
You did some internals, you did some work on the thing. It's at least a respectable and interesting build.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
it's not built.
No, I
But-
just think the word built is overdone for things that it shouldn't be.
It is
It
thrown
probably
around-
should be
it is thrown
referred
around a
to
lot.
more so as addressing weak links in a
Yes.
system, right? So, like, once you've addressed all of the weak points for your goals,
Yeah.
is that a fair
Yeah, that's
definition of built?
No, because
No.
he's
because you don't.
because he put Gen 4 rods in his thing, and that's
That doesn't
sufficient
count.
for his goals, but that's not built.
Well, right. That's why we get into.
I
this
consider it built
conversation.
like
So-
everyone's like the
I mean,
guy bought the catalog of
There has
every
to be a-
aftermarket
there-
part
I
for
know,
the
but-
thing.
but
He went
there has
over
to be
to he
some
went
kind
down
of
to
limit,
Harry's
right?
and got all his internals
Yeah.
and 200
Two of the
shots
big
of boss.
So, like, to be built, it has to be aftermarket for you.
Yeah,
Everything.
aftermarket and like
Upgrade.
severe
silly.
upgrade. Kind of, I mean, yeah, but otherwise, like you can make stock engines handle a ton of power. That does not mean
It's true.
It's the
I
same
mean,
amount of effort
okay, so
into an engine. Like people that put a ton of work
So
in
it's
engines.
effort based?
It's effort based.
But it takes the same amount of effort to change out a
is it
rod for a
money-based?
Gen 4 rod as it does a Carrillo rod.
Yeah.
You
So to put it together, measure like bearing
all right,
tolerances,
hold
things
on.
like that.
Only
Here's
because I'm
another
trying to
wrench.
put together trash. But other than that, like you shouldn't have to measure that stuff. You should be able to just put it together.
Absolutely not. You're just going to take like rods out of
wait,
something
hold
else
on,
and
wait.
not measure anything?
You can reuse the factory crank in this situation?
yeah, well, yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
talking about like billet cranks?
I mean, no, I think that would definitely constitute under the built category if you have a billet crank.
okay,
But I
all right.
mean,
I think you're drawing the line a little far. My definition of built motor is like you have some rods that can handle whatever you're throwing at it. You've blown everything apart to the point where it's refreshed, cleaned up, good to go, ready to handle what you're planning on putting it in, throwing at it. power-wise, I think it's built.
If you're going for more power, yes. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
it has
where
to
do you
be
draw the line?
beyond
Like,
the
that's
factory.
Okay. So hold on here.
you can't just put together a stock motor and be like, I'm shooting for 200 horse out of this big block Chevy, and then
Right.
you know what I mean? That doesn't.
Sad-
that is
sad
not a built
but
motor.
accurate.
I mean, if you refreshed everything,
I did
No,
like that's.
why
I
not?
did that on the Suburban. That doesn't count.
That's a restoration, not a build.
exactly. That you're
Well,
putting
right.
it back to stock. That doesn't count.
Okay, so obviously we're talking more motor work and build stuff, right? So
Well, we are
built,
talking
built, right?
specifically
Okay,
about
so
engine building.
right.
So
So let me ask you on a different.
Go ahead, collect
on a-
your thoughts,
Yeah,
Dave.
in a different category, shaved bays and whatnot, like for.
okay,
That's a hard left.
Well, no, I know
that's
that's.
very hard left.
Well, no, but like I'm talking.
if there was a direction that
full
wasn't left or right, it's that.
up,
Down.
we're going up,
yeah.
down.
we're going backwards.
Yeah. Well, no, I just because I'm curious on your thoughts on that too. Like, for stuff like that, would you constitute that as being
Built.
not
A build.
Well, not
build.
well, right. There's a difference, obviously, right? So, like a bit like a
All
full
right.
shave bay
This
with
is-
like let's
Okay,
say some
I think
sleek
that's
line
actually a
margin.
little. Okay, to answer your question, I think this is a little easier to define when you're not talking about things like engines where there's like
Yeah.
just a ton of variables.
Right.
I think once you get beyond the point of FBOs, full bolt-ons,
Yeah.
if they're not bolt-ons, depending on what your goal is, again, like if there's
I don't know. I don't know where you're going.
Should
with
I
this.
even finish?
No,
No,
I
come
want to
on,
hear you
I wanna
finish,
hear
but
you- I wanna
I
hear
don't
your
like where
thought.
it's going.
I'm just custom
custom fab
work.
work.
Custom
okay.
fab work.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, it doesn't even have to be fab work. Like it could be wiring. Like if you're talking about like tucking an engine harness and
Yeah.
things like that, and shaving a bay. To me, yeah, that's a build. Like our goal was to
yeah,
have like a
Mike
show
said,
car.
like effort, right?
It doesn't,
So yeah,
it doesn't need to make.
if you're cutting a
power,
whole harness and
fine.
extending it to
Yeah, you can have a
tuck it.
stock
Yeah.
engine, Beetle,
Right.
whatever, but with a shaved bay, tuck harness, sweet wheels,
I don't know how much
suspension,
you're going to shave
whatever.
a bay and a Beetle,
No,
but
it's an example. Yeah, that's a build to me.
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's effort based is what we're kind of leaning on.
Well, that's
here.
kind of where I was getting into it. Is like,
Anybody
you
can
know,
buy parts and install them.
right. Well, not
See,
anybody,
but that's what I can see
You're
why
right.
people will
Volkswagen,
argue that.
Volkswagen owners typically can't. But
Yeah, I
I'm just
know.
kidding. That was rude.
I know that was rude, but not
It's
an
only
accurate.
because we're
It'd be
sitting
real
with
funny
one.
when your Porsche starts having problems on accident.
go plug stuff.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Can't even get to any of it.
Yeah, I know.
Right? We just talked about this.
It's true. I gotta take the top off and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
The engine is safe.
Yeah, I think effort based in it, like something that you can't just
Buy off shelf.
readily purchase
Yep.
or
Yeah, something that maybe you can't replicate
yeah.
easily.
That makes it a build.
I mean, that definitely
I would
puts you in
say
that category.
I would
versus
say if you spend over
bolt-on junk.
We're getting out there.
5
I
or
don't-
10 hours
I'm
on
gonna bring it back
custom
here.
fab stuff.
I mean, to be fair, Dave, you really did
I did.
throw us.
Let's get
Another
back
wrench.
to
Yeah,
engine
curveball
building
here.
basics.
Yeah, I know. I was
I
trying
mean,
to build
that's
stuff
not how
together.
we started off the topic, but I mean, we knew we'd get into that.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what you want to get into.
Well, I just wanted to keep it not
Well-
like talking about our opinions about what one word means instead of.
That's what podcasts are about, man.
Yeah, bro.
I get it. It's
All right,
not-
Kevin, give us the rundown on your build.
I don't even know if my car's a build at this point. Like,
Oh, we got him. It takes a sip.
I just shaved the bay by cutting off some brackets. Like, what do I need next? Air ride?
Hey, man. Why
I'm
not?
cleaning up my engine harness. Ooh,
You feel attacked, Kevin.
He's a little
I have
defensive.
tilty
right now,
wheels.
but-
No, come on. Seriously, tell us about your plans for the drift car.
I don't have any plans for it.
Yeah,
Now
that's
he's
why
just
the motor's
closing,
next
he's
to
closing
us. Yeah.
off to us.
Full shutdown.
I'm making a manifold, slapping a turbo on it, some injectors, and a standalone ECU. That's my plan.
It's a full bolt on.
Yep, all bolt on.
All of it will
I don't know.
eventually.
I
No,
don't
bolt
no,
on.
hold on. He's
No, that's
fabbing a
I would.
custom intake manifold.
Yeah, but that bolt on. Exhaust
No.
manifold.
Yeah, you
can't
can make
go
anything
buy it.
bolt on.
That doesn't count.
Right.
That's not bolt on.
So
yeah, that's custom work,
brings
right?
up a
So-
good question.
Yeah,
So that's my thing. I would consider the car a build. The engine is not built.
Correct.
Right.
That's where we're at.
But it's purpose built.
God damn it.
God damn it, Dave.
That's why
Why must you do this to us?
So like built with an asterisk.
Yeah,
There you go.
Somebody define
How many
Note.
asterisks you get?
See note 7.
2 asterisks means this.
Built, but only. I mean, by Mike's definition of built here, where you could put like a jet engine turbine on the thing, and if it blows up, then it's not built enough.
That's not actually at all what I'm.
He said
leaning
effort.
towards.
He
Yeah,
was,
it's effort
he was
based.
on the effort
Shit doesn't
train.
have to work.
Oh, jeez. It could still be bolted.
Okay.
Shit's
All right.
built. No, it doesn't run.
I mean,
I guess you could build art.
right? You could.
Well, I guess in
I'm
the
still
case
curious
of
about like Kevin's what his actual
let's,
plans are.
He really hasn't said exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He said he wants to turbo.
genuinely-
He
no,
said
I'm
he wants to
genuinely
turbo
curious.
it.
Yeah, because
but
there's
we
like
haven't
a
really
lot of
gotten
stuff.
into
So
that.
there's like obviously if you're going from supercharger stuff to turbo stuff, so obviously there's
So
a
you
lot
bought
of
a
changes
turbo.
that you have to do, right? So you
I
have to do
mean-
like custom plumbing and stuff like that. So
everyone has their opinion about what you should do.
that's not what I'm asking. What I'm
No,
asking is what you're doing.
I understand that.
specifically.
There's
I'm
only
addressing
our
that.
opinions, and those are the only correct ones.
Well, I guess the thing. What kind of power level are you going for?
400
Yeah,
wheel?
sub 5.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere, 5
Well-
would be cool. I don't know.
So what you
Yeah.
had 320 something or before?
Wow.
Is that high?
I wish.
Wow.
Oh really?
Yeah, 250.
Okay, so you're trying to double what you had so that you can be more proficient in the longer straights and stuff for.
Well, because race car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Do you think that
we went
that
and
horsepower
drove
rating
it,
will
Gingerman, and
Yeah.
it was depressing.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't do anything in third gear. The track was just way too big for this car with that tire on it. I should have brought like 195s with me, and maybe I would have been okay. But
it's a little baby tire.
yeah, and ideally, I'd like to dial into more grip so I can, have more control over, when I'm falling behind someone, I can
Right.
catch up faster and just basically give myself more control driving.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of opinions out there on specifically the BMW straight 6 engine, M50, M52, S50, S52, about what you should do in the situation of the head gasket. A lot of people lower the compression ratio to add more boost so that they can be on the safe side, whatever. There's also people out there that have been on a stock head gasket, the
Yeah.
$20 Amazon head gasket, and
I feel like it really
put down 700 horsepower or something like that. And they were like, oh, yeah, well, it started detonating, so that's why the head gasket started pushing out whatever giant,
Right.
huge cylinder pressure.
Well, yeah, no, because it's similar with most cars, but like with VR stuff specifically too. If you lower the compression in VRs, you lose low end drivability, which is what they're pretty good for.
Well,
So,
that's
like,
any engine. I mean,
yeah.
But that's the thing is, I'm very familiar with the M50 based platform as well, and it's kind of one of those. Your power goal is what determines it, and there's a lot of guys going shooting for the moon or building for the moon without the intention of getting there. So that's where they have all the cut ring gaskets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you kind of waste a head every time you use a cut ring gasket. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm into the use a head gasket as a fuse in that situation.
Yeah.
Kind of have a conservative tune. You'll be good. Like a stock head gasket is good to like 6 and change, 700 horse. I would imagine like kind of that ballpark.
So what? Like how
You'll
much
be
boost?
in
Yeah.
rod territory. That's the same.
10 psi.
It's a higher. The issue is, I think, what it comes down to is tunings. It's a higher
Yes, it's a
compression
tune.
ratio. There's 10.5 to 1 stock, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which isn't that
That's
crazy.
Not that high.
That's not that high.
It's like one of those
So
things.
basically
Like everybody thinks you need a lower compression just to go turbo, which is not true
It's
at
not true.
all.
Well, keep in mind, a lot of this, especially this platform, all the knowledge is based off of like the 90s, early 2000s,
Yeah.
when
No, I mean,
tuning was
that's-
so bad that you had to drop compression.
But
You're using a stock ECU with no parameters. You're using a MAF on the inlet of a turbo, so the thing's just like everyone was blown up left and right. So the only way they were running was dropping compression.
But I feel like that information has carried over into every platform.
I
Just
agree.
because grassroots like
Yep.
boosting, not
Backyard turbo
factory boosted stuff.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks that you just need
Well,
we need a
this-
thicker head gasket, and you need head studs.
Same
and
thing
everything.
applies when somebody bends a rod at 500 horsepower, and it's like, well, maybe if you just tapered out your torque spike a little bit by
Right, you'd be
your
fine.
tuning, then maybe you wouldn't have that problem. So
Right.
yeah, your
So, yeah,
goal
to
your
your
goal
point,
determines what
it's-
what you're gonna do with it. So basically,
And it is on
because
the tuning. I mean,
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's kind of a modern take on a platform that others have played with. So if you look at Honda guys, they'll bump up compression these days for turbo motors. So it's, those days are gone and past, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I'm also on the train that, like, I don't know, pretend like you don't know anything.
yeah, learn it for yourself.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
The
See what
internet's
works and see
misleading.
what doesn't.
Exactly.
So these engines come with forged pistons. The rods are pretty well known to handle over 500 in a lot of applications, so I don't need to change it for what I'm going for, so why would I?
Exactly.
Yeah, the engines are cheap enough too, and they're in
Yeah,
everything.
that's the thing.
you
Is
can
it's
pretty
cheaper
run
for
it.
another bottom end than it is for a set of rods.
Right.
Yeah,
I
worst
mean,
case, I can get another engine.
If you had
So,
some like not weird engine, but popular or expensive engine, I could see building it out of like precaution because it's almost cheaper to build it than it is to replace it.
At some point, yeah, when they're early on, I feel like everything's
Yeah.
that way. And
Yeah.
then by the time we're playing with stuff, like this thing's 20 years old.
Right.
and,
Yeah. It's like,
Right.
not like we're going to pick up like two JZs because you can't and they're
Right.
expensive.
Yeah.
But that's like an
I mean, we
application where I
could.
think you could, like, probably if you're going to push more than stock power, like, it probably makes sense to just throw some stuff at it.
Right, just throw
you
some
know?
money so that
Right,
it's
because
a
I don't
little
want to have to
safer.
buy another one.
Right. Do it right, or
So it's weird.
buy nice or buy twice.
But yeah, like an LS,
Yeah.
junkyard LS.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Don't even open it. Yeah.
No.
No.
Why?
Yeah, Will, why would you open it?
Yeah, well, that's
Hold on.
that's why he has such a
Anyway.
strong opinion on the not opening.
Like, it's still like you pick the parts you're going to put on it based on what you want out of it. So,
Right.
pick the turbo I wanted because I wanted something that wasn't going to be too big and not too laggy, so I had some throttle response when I'm on
Yeah.
track. That's part of the purpose of it. So I'm building a manifold to like learn how to make a manifold,
Yeah.
and besides that, it's just basic stuff. So
Basic.
Well,
to-
and you're doing
to
some tuning stuff. You're swapping over standalone, so you have like real control over the ECU compared
Right.
to
I feel like
even how
that's
the supercharger setup was. Like, it was pretty loose.
yeah, I had to contact someone anytime I want to change something.
Right, and if you just think of the control they have, like the inputs they're getting for that type of thing, that tune can't be shooting for the moon because you don't know a lot of different parameters with the stock ECU.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can put a lot of safeties into this thing so that when things start getting hot, it pulls some timing and doesn't go kablooey.
Were they even
That sounds
reading
great.
like wideband, anything? That's just using stock narrowband stuff?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, see?
Seeing it right?
I feel like you're opening an entire whole new can of
The
worms. Like
I've
with-
been thinking about that too. I'm like, how am I going to tune this thing?
It's easy.
I
Not
know.
standalone.
Better or worse?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel
where?
like it's gonna be a lot.
You'll see.
I
it.
mean,
You can,
the dyno?
You can do logs.
The street?
Yeah, the streets are fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
that's-
can do some polls, some
I-
data
yeah,
logging.
I
The
can't.
dyno
The
is
problem
nice.
is, no,
You could be very conservative on the tune.
It's going to be just a process getting this thing back on the road with the collector plates and all that stuff because
What are you?
Wait,
98?
why are you putting it on the road again?
97.
97?
So I can tune it. How else am I going to tune it?
Well, you could do it on the dyno.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not all of it. I mean,
Yeah,
you're going to
no,
lose
you
some
got-
drivability.
yeah.
But
Either
I mean,
way, you can't strictly tune on the dyno. You
I
need
wouldn't-
drivability testing on the street.
yeah, but I wouldn't plate it for that reason, to be honest. But.
I would
Throw-
play it
get-
just
throw
because
some
it'd be
temp
cool to
tags
drive
on
on
there.
the street.
Ooh, yeah, you can get
Loophole,
temp tags
90-day temp
easy.
tags.
Yep.
It's the entire summer.
They just wanted to look at my title when I was at the BMV because I was going to get them for the Boxster. They're like, yeah, title's in your name, whatever. Here's temp tags. They're free
Oh, they're free right now.
right now. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Well, you get one free set a year, I think, regardless.
maybe. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because like if you don't pass e-check here in
I
Ohio,
think
it's-
they're either 60 or 90 days or something like that. More than enough time to tune a car.
Well,
Yeah.
obviously that'll be pretty far down the road.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
that was
yeah.
on my mind of like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah, temp
Yeah,
tags. That's the way to go. I
Yeah,
didn't
just
even
run
think
temps
about
on it,
that.
whatever. Drive to work a couple days a week and like poke at the tune. Just do some logs and a couple pulls. Man. Regardless, it's pretty. I think we have enough stuff to get you pretty close anyway. Tune-wise.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm starting pretty much blank slate, so.
I feel
anyway,
like that's a good choice though.
sure.
Yeah, why
I
not?
mean, it can't hurt to like have a base tune ready to go, so you
Well,
can
I mean,
fire
if
the
you
thing
start
up the
at the
first
beginning,
time.
then you don't have
a lot of
to-
Sandwells now they come with like basic settings, like you have 6 cylinders. Okay, like this is the size injector you're running, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Some basic parameters to get the thing like firing.
right.
Right. That's the hard part is when you're trying to get it running on a standalone and it's not running. That's where you're like, I have no idea what changes I'm making or if they're making a difference, because it's hard to figure out your trigger wheel settings and stuff like that. If
Well,
you're
I'm
not
kind of
paying
wondering,
attention.
like, will street tuning even be?
You need that for all your transition stuff.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
what's
so
hard.
it is beneficial for even like drifting.
Yeah.
Wide open throttle is really easy on the dyno, but like your transitions
like-
from like off throttle to on throttle, all
Yeah.
that type of stuff is what you need to hone in on the street.
Like
Yeah.
drag stuff.
Tip in.
Yeah.
It really
It's
is. And you're
incredibly
constantly, you're drifting a car, you're like constantly modulating throttle.
Right, well, that's what I mean. Like, so you're
There's
braking.
portions you're like
throttling,
matted, but like when you're, next to somebody, you're constantly trying to change.
You're trying to
what
follow
you're
what they're
doing.
doing.
Yeah. Well, just because you're at different throttle positions doesn't mean you're making the same amount of boost or the same amount of load,
Right.
depending on how you're tuning it. So, yeah, it's very different than something that's just wide open for 10 seconds or something.
right, which doesn't necessarily work.
Okay, well, so you opened up your LS,
Okay.
even though your power goal was like 400 horsepower.
Oh, well, no, he didn't open it because of that. He opened it because of failure.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It was broken.
Okay.
When you got it?
No, he didn't
It
open it,
blew
then.
up, remember?
In Meatball?
No.
No,
No, I
at the
didn't open it
autocross.
then.
Oh, I didn't know
No.
that was not open.
It went
I
straight
thought you did
from
rods.
it went straight from Camaro to Miata without being touched.
Okay.
You put a
whatsoever.
cam in it, right?
Oh, yeah, I put a cam in it,
That's
put an
nothing.
oil pan on it. Did I put springs in it?
I thought you had done
That's all
rods.
irrelevant.
Okay.
I mean, like, what I didn't
That's-
take the heads off.
Yeah,
so-
none of that is
Right,
what
yeah.
went wrong
exactly.
either.
So, yeah, that was all fine and dandy. And the reason I touched it the time after that is because it spun a rod bearing. Actually, sort of. So
How do you
I didn't
sort of
touch
spin a
that
rod
one. I
bearing?
sold it or traded it to Mike, and then picked
Yes.
up another one, which was disassembled. So heads were off it. And I was like, well, if I'm going to put it back in, like, might as well make it better. You
Yeah,
know?
you might as well if it's
So I was
out.
putting different
Might
heads
as well
on it.
build it.
Right. Yeah, well, no, I wouldn't call that a build either. So,
Here we go. Another one.
so yeah, I was putting, upgraded factory heads on it.
Yeah, different heads that were shaved.
Yeah, shaved down the head, so like more compression.
Yeah.
I just did bearings in it, which that's a whole nother story. Just go back and listen to that episode if you wanted to hear like the whole saga.
You just
that
don't want to
unfolded
get
there.
into the sadness.
No, it just makes me
I think
sad.
that was the engine swaps episode.
Oh yeah,
Now
maybe.
I think about
Yeah,
it.
Maybe.
could have been.
Yeah, overall, like if we're gonna get back to engine building basics here, not that I would call it built, but it was.
Engine building has
disassembled and
nothing to do with
reassembled.
built.
Right,
So
exactly. So,
the practices you want to use are irrelevant and very important.
there's a couple points I should touch on here, and that when I went back to the machine shop who assembled it for me, which was a mistake in itself.
Built it for you.
I said assembled,
Assembled.
Kevin.
Assembled.
There was a very intentional. There was
Intentional.
intentional word. Yeah. That was a mistake, but jammed it in because they had assembled it, and it like immediately smoked the main bearing.
Oof.
Several main bearings, I think, and I just didn't touch a thing. Went back to them because I figured that was my security, is the fact that I had somebody else assemble it. I figured that had some sort of merit to it, right? They basically said, well, the first thing they said, they're like, "Oh yeah, this is an auto car, right? Automatic."
Yeah. What the?
And I'm like-
how difference does it make?
They didn't even let me finish. They're like, "It has an automatic. It's an automatic, right? You got a big torque converter in it or something like that." Because they figured that too much line pressure in the torque converter had like jammed the crank into the mains, and that's
Yeah.
what killed it. I'm like, no, it's a manual. And they're like, oh. So they had to like think about it for a little bit, and they're like, yeah, it looks like some like trash went through the motor, some like debris and stuff. I'm like, well,
Not if you said it looked like the crank got jammed into it.
yeah, well, that's different. A and B, you guys assembled it. Like, what do you mean there's stuff? Like, was I supposed to take it back apart and clean it? Because like freeze plugs were in it. Everything it was assembled. It just needed valve covers and an oil pan.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think this is a machine shop issue because at that point, I'd taken it apart, cleaned it out, put some bearings in it, and
It's been good.
it's been good. So
And
I've been very
works.
nervous about it.
Yeah.
I've been just like anal attentive to everything, like looking at oil filters and everything, and just being afraid it's going to blow up the whole time. But that's beside the point. It has not. So, yeah. The point that I was trying to make here is that cleanliness is next to
cleanliness
godliness.
is the most important
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
If you think it's clean, it isn't. Try again. Like,
And I remember that after I went to put it together myself, the time after that, like going through the garage, like knowing that I was going to blow this thing apart and like getting everything out that I needed to get out, getting every surface like wiped down. I think I vacuumed my garage floor and just went ham, just
Yeah.
cleaning everything and making sure that every tool that I was going to use,
It was clean.
clean.
Yep.
So very important.
yep. I do all my assembly stuff with like microfibers to make sure the bearings are clean, all the surfaces are clean, that type of thing. It does
Get
not
yourself
take
one of
much
the
dirt.
big jugs of acetone.
Yep.
You know, lots of cans of brake clean. Have shop air on the ready.
Yep.
So clean.
It does not take much dirt to ruin all the things.
Yeah. Because it's like the chicken or the egg thing, snowball effect.
Right.
You know, it's like takes one little bit of trash to start making more trash, and then more trash
Yeah.
makes more trash.
Yeah, you get a
It's
a
bad.
clogged pickup tube, and
Before you
No,
know
it
it,
just takes one
Everything's
little
gone.
grain of metal to go through a bearing to then make 3 more.
Yep.
And that gets sucked back into the oil pump and makes 6 more. And then
your
Yeah.
oil pump shits a bed, and then kaboom. Done.
if you're
all
a little-
kaboom.
Yeah.
I've been pretty sloppy about this engine over here. Cleaning stuff while the valve covers
Yeah, yeah,
off.
out of-
you
you're
could,
out of
that's not a
yourself.
big deal. It's before you put it together.
Yeah,
like
that's
you
true.
can get kind of reckless ahead of
Yeah,
time, but
yeah.
before it's sealed up and you're going to fire it up,
Yeah,
Oh,
a piece
it
of
needs to be
your
clean.
wall insulation isn't going to make its way in between a bearing and a crank right now.
I
so-
poorly taped some paper towels over the top.
Yeah, I see that.
I see that. That is nice.
I didn't notice that.
It's a nice little tent you have there.
Keep the flies in.
Just a little camshaft tent.
Yeah, it's fine. It works.
That stuff's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's not really dusty in here anyways, or just not a whole lot of debris floating around anyways, really.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, I
fairly
wouldn't be
clean,
using the
brand
angle
new,
grinder
right?
around
I
it.
don't have like
but
an air
still.
purifier over here or anything.
Right,
so-
exactly. But you're fine.
But if Dyson wants to reach out,
Yeah.
Hey.
wouldn't
I
push
mean,
that away.
I was running the blast cabinet last night, so
well,
Yeah, I wouldn't put the motor next to the blast cabinet.
no.
it's 20 feet away.
Right, you'll be fine.
Huh.
But I wouldn't advise it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Clean.
so if you're
Clean.
gonna tear down a motor, make sure everything's clean or everything you're working with is clean. At least before you put it back together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like Mike said, you can be reckless when you're taking it apart, but
And you have to have a plan for what you're doing. You're doing
Yeah.
pistons, rods, and why are you doing them?
yep.
That plan might go sideways like it just did to Shane. But
Oh.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, you kind of having a plan before you get to that stage is helpful in the fact that you really don't want to be moving this stuff around for long.
yes.
You know, opportunities to mix up like cam caps or like you know,
Yep.
rod caps.
I feel like when something sits apart
You know,
for too
everything-
long, you kind of
You know, your organization really gets put in jeopardy, and
Danger.
cleanliness puts in jeopardy. And like if you say, you know, if you have all your stuff laid out on your workbench and you need it for something else because you didn't plan well, I
Right.
mean, that's this opportunity to drop something.
miss
or,
one
you know what I
bolt.
mean? Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, that, I mean, that brings up a good point of marking everything. Like, most of that stuff is marked. All the cams and everything are numbered, or caps
Usually.
and everything like that.
Not
are-
always.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually they're numbered. Normally they have arrows, but, like, mark them just in case if you're
Yeah.
nervous about it. Like, you can't be too sure about that.
Yeah.
So,
Like the LS split rod caps aren't, but they can really only go together one way.
Right, they
But
can
you have
only
to
go-
pay attention to it.
but they can't go in the crank 2 ways because there's a chamfer on one side, so you have to pay attention to
Right.
stuff like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can not notice though.
You can not notice and put it
Yeah.
together, but it'll
Right.
blow up.
Yeah.
So,
kaput. Yeah.
kablooey.
Yeah. So organization, cleanliness.
And just kind of keep your wits about you.
Planning.
Like, this is not a 6-beer endeavor while you try to put the motor together. Like, try to just keep everything clean and organized, be methodical about what you're doing, stay on top of your organization. Just, you know,
Measure things before you put them in.
Yeah.
you don't always have to. Like, if you just took it apart and you're putting it back together, you're in business. But
Yeah, assembly, disassembly.
If I was taking rod bearings out, I would measure clearance before I put them
That's
back
a tricky
I feel
one.
like that's
Yeah.
that's a different.
I would not if you aren't changing any of the components. If the bearings still look nice, nothing looks like it went through it or got damage to it, then
got no
I,
Well, why would you take it apart in the first place then? Well, you want to take your pistons out, maybe.
Right. You want to regap rings, and I wouldn't do rod bearings because I'm regapping the rings.
Yeah, especially if they look nice.
Yeah. If they look nice, but if they look like crap, then yeah, I'd probably do it. And
Well, I
then
guess this goes
check
back to it. If
surfaces.
you're,
Also-
if you're in there, should you do it anyways?
No. So here,
absolutely not.
okay. So that's exactly the point that I was going to bring up, and my greatest flaw probably is don't overanalyze. Like, like the
Yeah,
LS
we all
LS
do it,
cam
yeah.
bearings are like a perfect example.
Ooh, yeah,
they
they
look
always
like
look bad.
trash brand new.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
because
so
they
just-
put them in and hone them after the fact, so
Yeah.
they all look like they're blown.
It's funny because that's why they say never look at them, because if you look at your cam bearings,
Yeah.
there's like copper showing, but that's because they're like honed from the
Yeah, it's
factory,
just-
so they
it's-
wipe off some of the bearing, and it's just horrible.
Just looks all kinds of bad.
So of course, you're always looking for a smoking gun if you're taking apart something because of a failure,
Yeah.
which is a good thing to identify. But if you're not, if you're just doing a rebuild,
yeah.
don't
get ahead.
think about it too
yeah,
much.
Just
It
don't,
was
don't
working.
get ahead
It was
of
working
yourself.
fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Keep everything clean. Look for signs of damage. If there aren't any, then
Yeah, move on to your thing
Yeah.
that you're fixing. Or
of course, like a
changing.
little wipe mark or a little score here and there is pretty normal.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
a
I mean-
mechanical engine. Of course,
Yeah.
you're going to have discrepancies here and there. So
But yeah, if it
Yeah.
was running fine and you're not doing anything crazy, it's fine.
now, if you're changing it completely, if you're going from a stock motor to
Well, somebody who's getting in that
600,
deep
700, yeah, you're
Probably
taking the
isn't
whole
listening
thing
to
apart.
our advice.
Yeah.
So.
yeah. But if you
Yeah,
are
you
putting
never know.
rods in something, you should measure.
Yeah.
Because almost every aftermarket rod comes in
Yeah.
so that you have to adjust some stuff.
At what point do you start looking into having your rotating assembly balanced?
I would say if you're changing components.
If you're
Or
changing-
if you're going
wait,
for higher
when you say
RPM.
components, what do you
Yeah.
mean? You
Like
just
if you're
mean-
putting different aftermarket pistons and rods in,
Yeah.
like ideally you should have it balanced. If you're trying to spin it high,
It's actually so
you-
if you have something torn down that far apart, I would be like a very strong advocate of doing that because it's not that expensive. It's like
No.
$120 to get like a full rotating assembly balanced. Pistons, rods, clutch, flywheel, all of it.
Yeah.
like pistons and rods to match, you should do on your own. I think. Like you just get a nice scale, and then you can make sure they're all the same weight. Do that with your pistons or rods.
Yeah,
and
if you
then,
check it beforehand.
then have the whole assembly balance. That'll save you time and effort later.
Yeah.
Now, will you run into issues with that if it's not? I mean, obviously you run into
No,
it. if it's
they'll
not
balance it
balanced.
independently,
you're
but
just
then you have to put the
optimizing.
rods in the right
Yeah.
spot
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, just like NVH
Have you ever
stuff
seen
too. I mean,
a-
if you want to build a race car and have like solid engine mounts, like that's going to make a pretty significant difference.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want to use your rear view mirror or something. So
Yeah, I mean that's all stuff that you feel in the car, but like
Yeah.
the engine feels that the whole time.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's important stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever seen a crank getting balanced?
No, I have not actually.
Kind of wild.
It's wild.
Put the thing on V blocks basically on each end, and they spin it with a belt, and they use a seismograph to measure
Oh, that's crazy.
vibration.
Yeah, I didn't know
And
that.
they'll take out material in certain areas to make it perfectly balanced. Because factory stuff has a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to make
Well, that's why they.
someone just drive to the store. It doesn't have to live at 9,000 RPM its whole life.
Yeah,
Right.
and you're using real squishy factory engine mounts and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
Things
there's
that
a lot of parameters.
absorb
that.
that.
Yeah.
But in a performance application, I mean, you usually get rid of all the stuff that makes it plush and nice. So
Yeah, because you want it to go fast.
yeah,
And not
put
be
gnarly
comfortable.
clutches in and
Right.
gnarly engine mounts and trans mounts.
Things that make a lot of noise that
Yeah.
wouldn't normally make noise in a commuter car.
And again, Kevin's point was that, or Mike's point was that, it's feeling that all the time, regardless of what mounts you have in it. I mean,
Your main
it's-
bearings are living that life the whole time.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
whether you're feeling it or not is a different story. But
So yeah,
It's
if you're in
cool.
that deep, I mean, it's really not much more effort, money, hassle. Any
Yeah,
of that.
better safe than sorry, I guess, in that kind of context.
I mean, it probably just only comes down to like a longevity thing. I mean, it's not going to immediately blow up or anything.
no.
but It
At least you would
certainly.
hope not.
If you're trying to optimize things,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
you
Yeah.
go the extra mile.
Well, if you're going to spend
If
all
for-
the
it's
time
not
and
much more
money
money,
and effort,
so-
yeah,
I
if
wouldn't
you're
even
gonna
call it a mile.
Right.
If you're gonna
Okay.
if you're gonna put
Yeah.
the effort into building something,
I-
you might as well do it right.
I had to cut myself off when I was like looking at this. I saw Shane's engine all apart, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, there's really not that many parts once you get down this far. It's
No,
like
it's
Yeah,
not.
no, don't.
head,
Yeah.
pistons, rods. That's like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, maybe I should make this thing like dirt nasty.
Yeah, I know, but that's
Right.
like another $1,000 in parts by the time you do bolts and gaskets and rods and pistons and everything. So I mean, that's a big difference.
That's why
Yeah.
we're leaving it together.
Right.
Yep.
So
The only thing I would consider if I were you is like
Especially
checking
if
your
you're-
ring gap, but like even that's a lot of work. So
Yeah,
if
you gotta
it's
take the head off.
either leave it alone or like if you're gonna change something
And for your
at your level,
goals?
it's ring gap. Yeah, your goals are fine for them.
Yeah.
So again, it's only 213,000 miles. It'll be fine.
It's the ring gap's probably good.
Yeah.
Especially if you're
It's well seated.
being semi-cautious, like if you're monitoring coolant temperatures and oil temperatures, and you're not like just really pushing
think
it
about
to the ragged edge.
Yeah,
It'll be
so I guess
okay.
with something like this, you think about, you don't really drive it that frequently. But the funny thing is that when you are driving it,
You want it to work.
it's getting the shit beat out of it.
That's what they like.
So,
Yeah, they like that.
Yeah.
They don't like normal driving.
Yeah, no, if you pulled apart like, your grandma's Camry's engine valve cover or whatever because you change your oil every 15,000 miles, like, that just
Gross.
grocery back and forth,
Yeah.
5 minutes of run time like twice a week. Not good.
yeah.
Not good.
High RPM, full temperature, all
I
afternoon.
know it's crazy. If
Real
you looked
good.
at like a built motor, like it could have had 100,000 miles on it, but if it gets like the shit beat out of it,
Oh, yeah.
inside's still silver, like no oil staining, no nothing, because everything gets up
Everything's
to nice,
hot,
nice
yeah.
temperatures and
The
it's
sludge.
Inside
no.
Shane's motor
think it's
is
just-
remarkably clean. Like
The
I've never
inside
seen
of my-
a head that clean inside. Like
My
beautiful.
one series has like immaculate interior of its engine.
Yeah.
Just like everything is perfect. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
this is good.
that is good.
It's just, I think it's just a matter of just taking care of it.
Yeah.
You get a car that's
Oil
well taken
change
care of. Like
intervals and-
the
yeah.
cams, nothing was oil stained even. Like
Right.
everything looks brand new basically. So change your oil enough. Things probably good to
high
go.
quality oil, change it at the right times,
Yeah.
and let it come up to temperature correctly. You'll be in business.
Yep.
But yeah, those short drives, like that's where I used to see like you pull a valve cover off something and it was like the dark black. That's like the worst you'll see staining on everything. Then it goes to like a reddish. And that's like pretty shitty. Then the gold is like, all right, that's not
fine.
bad.
Yeah.
And then silver's like, hell yeah, that is like spotlessly clean.
We used to look into a lot of short drive vehicles having issues with chain wear when I worked at Borg Warner
Yeah.
because, especially with direct inject engine, because you get a lot of fuel wash down in the cylinders, extra unburnt fuel because it's going straight into the cylinder, it doesn't have time to atomize. So with the extra fuel sitting in the oil, if it doesn't get up to the flash point of that fuel, up to the flash, the oil temperature doesn't get up to the flash point of the fuel, then it stays in there.
Right.
And essentially it's like
It just
anti-oil.
dilutes it, yeah.
It's like, immediately
Anti-oil,
causes friction problems. So we had some, I think it was a Nissan Juke, had some,
Was it a Nismo?
no, just the regular one.
Okay, side
But
note.
like it had some excessive wear issues
won't
because
say it.
people, but only in vehicles that were driven by like old ladies that were just going to the grocery store, coming back. That's it.
Yeah.
Like 10-minute drives maximum. Not getting it up to temp, parking it. Not getting it up to temp, parking it.
Yeah.
So
I used to do oil changes on cars on the east side of Providence that were like that. Like they just do super short trips, and it was always seemed like the Mercedes for some reason that
Well,
always
Rhode
did this.
Island's 10 miles wide. It's
Yeah, it's
pretty
hard to do
easy
a
to-
long
yeah,
trip, but you pull like the oil fill cap off, and they have like 2 inches of cheese that comes off on the bottom. It's just like this goop, and it's all the condensation that's sticking to the bottom of the cap, and it can be gnarly.
I've never seen that, but
It's
cheese?
just the videos. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like almost
it's common
yeah.
on. It's common on. I mean, most anything that's a short trip car.
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
Mark IVs are notorious for it.
Yep.
Specifically, and the 2 liters. If you drive it 15 minutes a day and you park it and you pull the oil cap off, you're gonna have schmoo and condensation. And
And everyone
all
thinks
kinds
it's a
of
head
stuff.
gasket, and it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah,
It's
yep.
just
Condensation.
you need to drive it long enough to burn off the condensation.
Yep.
Right. So, well, gentlemen,
Throw a catch can at it.
Why would you do this?
here we go. We're cutting it off.
Built catch can.
Built.
Full bolt on.
Builds. All the builds. All right, guys. Well, stay tuned for next week's episode. Follow us at CAD Cars on Instagram. And, yeah, just keep us updated on
I
your
was
builds.
getting ready to clap, Dave. I was so excited and proud.
We need to prompt them to tell us things.
No, you were good
did.
until after that, and
You did,
just
and then you
felt
just
like
like,
you needed to say
and-
more.
Here we are.
This is why they don't like me.
Yep.
We're just trying to improve you, Dave.
Yep.
I don't like the short and sweet.
Help
I had a
us
lot of
help
information
you.
to give us.
Short and sweet.
Okay.
All right, goodbye,
Bye.
guys.